In this video, we're going to look at 5 simple pricing strategies you can use for your next SaaS product, even if you're a first-time founder. A few years into my career as a web developer, I realized that getting into the 9-to-5 lifestyle was one of the worst decisions I've made until that point. Using my passion for writing code to build someone else's dream and being paid a tiny fraction of the potential upside was just unbearable. It felt like I was leaving millions of dollars on the table in exchange for being able to buy a few cool gadgets. So, in 2008, I took a shot at starting my first SaaS business. And I can remember quite vividly that shortly after I settled on the idea for what the app was going to be, I realized I had absolutely no clue how to price it. On the one hand, if you're pricing your product too low, you risk leaving money on the table and having to increase your prices later on. That's probably not going to sit well with existing users. On the other hand, if the price is too high, you risk sending all your users to your competition. It might seem like you have no choice but to get it right from the get-go, but that's not entirely true. I now see pricing as a positioning tool that helps you change how people perceive your product. And that's important because your product is not for everyone. You've chosen a very specific segment of the market that your product can help. If you haven't done that yet, make sure to validate your idea first and understand who your target market is. You'll see how pricing can further optimize your position in the market and make your product stand out from the crowd. For example, let's assume we have a large segment of the market that consists of consumers, entrepreneurs, and enterprises. By pricing your product higher, you attract only entrepreneurs and enterprises, excluding consumers. And if you understand what you're doing, pricing can be a powerful positioning tool. So then, the real challenge is not how high or how low to price your product, but how to find a blue ocean where your product can thrive. Most people want to get a great deal in exchange for their money. They want the value of what they're getting to be much higher than what they're paying for. So how much value does your product bring to the table? Like, what's the exact number? Answering that question is impossible without knowing who your customer is, what problem they want to solve, and how much that problem is worth to them. Because if you know who you're helping and how much value they get out of your product, then pricing becomes easy. Here's how I see it. If your SaaS product can help a business make an additional $100,000 a year in revenue, you can easily charge at least $100 a month, and that's 1% of the value they're getting. If you don't know the value you're delivering, you must find out what that number is. Once you have it, you can use the following pricing tools to optimize your product's pricing model so that your customers get the most value in exchange for their hard-earned cash. Your goal when pricing your SaaS product is to maximize the value delivered to the customer while also raising your prices as much as possible. Whether that's 1% or 10% or more of the value delivered, that's up to you and the specific market you're targeting. It's a good idea to test different pricing models to see which works best for your particular scenario. Note that you don't have to pick one or the other. You can, and most SaaS products do, combine these options. Freemium is where you offer a free forever tier to get people to use your product, upgrade to a higher tier, and recommend it to others. But this model pushes your revenue into the future, so make sure you're okay with that, especially if you're a one-person business. Cost-based pricing means you take the total cost of providing the service, for example your development cost, hosting, employees, and anything else, and raise that number by a percentage. Value-based pricing is when your price is based on the value delivered. This is also what we have discussed so far, and I strongly believe it's a healthy mindset when pricing anything because both parties get to benefit. Segment-based pricing allows you to charge different prices based on which type of user you're selling to, like solopreneurs, teams, enterprises, and so forth. Feature-based pricing means higher tiers offer more and more features. You can combine this with segments to offer segment-specific features. For example, collaboration for teams. Usage-based pricing is when you charge based on how much your users use the product. For example, the number of accounts they need, how much data they need to store, the number of transactions, and so forth. Add-on pricing basically means that on top of the monthly price, you charge for additional features or modules. This allows users to personalize their plans and only pay based on their needs. Lifetime license is when you pay a flat fee once and never worry about charges again. This option is becoming more and more popular as people get tired of the subscription model. I don't know if I've covered all possible options, but this should give you a rough idea of what's available and how you can come up with a pricing model that makes sense for your product. Every SaaS product must have a way to acquire new users, and that process has a cost attached. Whether you're paying for ads or a sales team, or maybe it's a high-touch sales process, you need to factor those acquisition costs into your pricing. The challenge with acquisition is to get it lower than what the average user pays for your service during the entire subscription period. This is also known as lifetime value, or LTV. If you can get acquisition costs lower than the lifetime value of a user, you can scale your product to the moon. For example, if it costs you $100 to acquire a user, your LTV needs to be higher than that. Otherwise, you're not making any money. If it's lower, you're losing money. Your job is to price your product as high as possible while keeping users using it. Everyone loves a good offer, and discounts are often the final push people need before they pull out their wallets and purchase. Here are a few that I've seen. Offering a free trial or a limited account to gain trust with your customers before they upgrade to a higher tier. Annual discounts help customers save a few bucks and help you increase the customer's lifetime value, or LTV. Partner, reseller, referral, and affiliate pricing is used to incentivize others to advertise your product. Nonprofit or educational pricing to help the community spread the word about your services. Now, before we move on to the last of the 5 strategies, I have a bonus for you. If you're on the fence and you don't know what to build, it will help you find your next profitable SaaS idea. So download your SaaS idea validation playbook for free using the link below. Have you ever visited a sales page wondering if you should buy their product or service, only to eventually leave without making a purchase? I'm sure you have. That happens all the time, and so many sales are lost because of it. Unless there's a good reason to buy your product right now, most people won't do it, so you have to give them a reason. And you can do that using scarcity or urgency. Scarcity is when your product or a bonus is in limited supply. Urgency is when the time is running out. You can get pretty creative here and come up with more reasons people should buy right now. If you have no idea where to start, look for similar products in your space that are doing well and start there. Pay attention to how they sell the product, not just the features they have. It's also worth noting that if nobody complains about your pricing, it's probably too low.